Coming up on Hoosier Sports Night, Indiana women's basketball season comes to a close in the round of 32.
And men's basketball welcomes its 31st head coach. We have all the details. This is Hoosier Sports Night. Hello and welcome to Hoosier Sports Night. I'm Dana Belmer.
And I'm Jet Garrett. March Madness is in full swing. Have you been keeping up?
Oh, of course I have. March is my favorite time of the year.
My bracket was busted after the first 5 games.
Mine was too. It's hard to predict those upsets. But the IU women's basketball team was in South Carolina this last weekend. They played the NCAA tournament in Columbia. After beating Utah in the first round, the Hoosiers faced off against #1 South Carolina in the second round. Our Zion Brown was on site with more. After IU's season-ending loss, several players entered the transfer portal. The Hoosiers will need to retool their roster heading into next year.
It's a new era in IU basketball. Former West Virginia head coach Darren DeVries is now Indiana's 31st head coach. DeVries hopes to build a strong non-conference schedule, a consistent roster, and play fast while also being able to shoot the three.
Simplify it, make it what it is. We got to be good at these certain things. You got to have a certain level of talent, but then the teams that can do, defensive rebounding, taking care of the ball, playing together, playing unselfish, the teams that can do that the best typically are the teams that have the most success, and that'll be our focus when we put a roster together.
5 IU players have already entered the transfer portal, so DeVries has his work cut out for him already.
The Indiana women's swim and dive team had a historic weekend at the NCAA championships, earning a program record of a 4th-place national finish. The Hoosiers were led by diver Skylar Liu, who won an individual national title, followed by stellar performances from Ching Wigan, Brianna Crawford, and Anna Poplawski. The Hoosiers scored a program record of 312 points to outscore Tennessee and make it to the 4-team trophy table. While the women took care of business, now it's the men's team turn. They head out to Washington to begin their NCAA championship quest.
Indiana wrestling showed out last weekend in the NCAA tournament in Philadelphia. DJ Washington took 8th place at 184 pounds, making him the Hoosiers' first All-American since 2017 when Nate Jackson took 8th in the same weight class. Angelo Rennie and Gabe Saulers also reached the blood round before being eliminated from the tournament. 5 of Indiana's 6 qualifiers won at least 2 matches. The Hoosiers finished tied for 24th place for their first top 25 finish since 2015.
Coming up after the break, we crown our Hoosier Highlight Athlete of the Week.
And baseball gets a midweek win at home. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to Hoosier Sports Night.
Now joining us in studio for this week's Hoosier Highlight is our very own Mike Badroff. Mike?
Thanks, guys. From the basketball courts to the baseball diamonds, IU athletes kept the momentum going through spring break. But it was senior platform diver Skylar Liu who stole the spotlight, earning the title of NCAA National Champion at the 2025 D1 Swimming and Diving Championships. This past Saturday in Federal Way, Washington, Liu delivered a strong performance across multiple championship rounds. Despite trailing LSU's Montserrat Levenant early on, Liu closed the gap during her final dive, earning a total score of 382.15, which secured her the NCAA title. This is not only IU's 3rd platform title in the past 5 years, but a second chance at victory for Liu, who got injured in last year's competition during warm-ups.
Indiana baseball has won 7 of its last 9 games, and they continued that momentum last night at Bart Kaufman Field. Our Ethan Boner has a cap.
After losing their first West Coast trip of the year to UCLA, the Hoosiers look to bounce back on their 9-game homestand, starting with the midweek matchup against Bellarmine. Cole Gilly, who has been dominant all season, took the mound against the Knights. He started and ended his day with a quick 1-2-3 inning as the Hoosiers poured it on early. After an RBI double by Corbin Dickerson, freshman first baseman Jake Hanley broke open the scoreboard with a 2-run blast into right field, extending the Hoosier lead to 3.
I think we just came out with, a different mentality. I think that, when you go out and play an out west team like UCLA, those arms are top notch. Not to say Bellarmine's not, but when you go face guys that can land 3 pitches for strikes every at bat, you're constantly on your toes, adjusting. Coming in here, you kind of have a better idea of what you're capable of.
The Hoosiers kept piling up the runs early with a rare inside the park home run by second baseman Tyler Cerny. After missing the ball on the diving attempt by Casey Sorg, Cerny took advantage and sprinted all the way around the diamond, giving the Hoosiers a 4-0 lead in the first. Freshman Cooper Malamazian shined, going 3 for 4 and 6 RBIs, including a grand slam in the fourth. Malamazian also showed off his defensive work playing at shortstop, a position he hasn't played often this season.
He has really developed into a really good player. He was a good defender in high school. Was a really highly recruited kid coming through, but he's become a tremendous defender. He's good, and he's just gotten better and better. He's really changed in a lot of ways the course of the season at third base defensively.
The Hoosiers would go on to win the game 13-0 after just 7 innings and improve to 14-11 on the season.
The Hoosiers continue their 9-game homestand with a weekend series starting on Friday against USC at 6 p.m. From a cold Bart Kaufman Field, I'm Ethan Bonner, IUSTV Sports.
The Hoosiers will host the University of Southern California this weekend as the Trojans come into Bloomington for a weekend series.
Indiana men's tennis team continued Big Ten play, taking on both Michigan State and Michigan this past weekend. On Saturday, the Hoosiers put themselves in a hole early, losing the doubles point. On the singles side, it was more of the same, as MSU secured points at 2, 3, and 4 singles en route to a clean 4-0 sweep of the Hoosiers. The Sunday afternoon matchup against Michigan proved to be another mismatch for the Hoosiers. The Hoosiers lost the doubles point and could not gain momentum, eventually dropping the match 1-6. The lone spark of the day for the Hoosiers came by way of a thrilling 3-set victory for sophomore Ben Pomerantz. Having lost 8 in a row, Indiana will look back to get in the win column as they head north to take on the Wisconsin Badgers in Madison.
IU women's golf were able to navigate a tricky course in Tallahassee, Florida, where they competed in the Florida State matchup. The Seminole Legacy Golf Course was tearing up most of the field as only 4 golfers finished even or under par. But the Hoosiers were able to limit the damage to the first 2 rounds and go on the attack in the final round. A team-wide +1 for that final round placed the Hoosiers at 3rd place on the event, a fantastic finish for the Hoosiers. The Hoosiers were led by senior standout Caroline Smith, who battled her way to a 4th place finish, tying her career best individual finish. The Hoosiers will travel to Columbus, Ohio for their final regular season matchup of the season as they compete in the Therese Hessian Buckeye Invitational.
Now joining us with this week's Candy Stripe calendar report is Dylan Dreeman. Dylan?
Thanks, guys. We have a very packed weekend ahead of us for athletics. Let's get started. Kicking things off on Friday, baseball will begin their weekend series against Southern California at 6 p.m. at Bart Kaufman Field. Softball will take 18th-ranked Ohio State in a weekend series in Columbus. For men's tennis, they will head to Madison, Wisconsin to face the Badgers on Friday, followed by a trip to Lincoln on Sunday to face the Cornhuskers. Women's tennis will head out west for a date with the Oregon Ducks on Friday, and then to Seattle Sunday to take on Washington. Track and field will head south to Baton Rouge to face off in the Battle of the Bayou meet. And lastly, men's swimming and diving will compete in the Swimming and Diving Championship in Federal Way, Washington. That's all for Candy Stripe Calendar. Back to you guys at the desk.
And that's our show for the week. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at IUSTV Sports. For our production crew behind us, I'm Jet Garrett.
And I'm Dana Belmer. We'll see you guys next week.